Red flags in relationships. Hello and welcome to my channel. Today, I want to talk about some of my red flags in dating, all of which are based on my personal experiences. Some of these should make you very wary, while others should make you want to block his phone number and never speak to him again. Some are just red flags, while others are more like a full stop sign and should never be ignored. These are like the horsemen of the apocalypse. Serious issues that most likely mean it's time to cut your losses and walk away, especially if you're looking for a lasting relationship. Almost all of these apply to the early stages of dating, when it's easier to walk away because you haven't invested too much yet. Of course, you can choose to ignore these signs, but that's a massive gamble. You're risking your time, which is the most important and non-renewable asset you have, and you're risking a broken heart. So, here we go. Number 1, he picks at your physical appearance. This one is unacceptable. Do you remember my story from the video, 3 Toxic Relationships I Survived? Yes, this happened to me. I made the mistake of thinking that if I only fixed my appearance, the problem would go away. Spoiler alert, it never did. Even though I worked out like crazy and starved myself, the issue remained between me and Mr. Protein Shake, and it eventually led to him walking away. One thing he said to me about 2 years into the relationship was that when he saw my legs for the first time, he wanted to break up with me. Imagine hearing that from someone you gave 2 years of your life to. Everything you do for them, all the love and effort you put in, doesn't matter as much as the perceived imperfection of your body. This type of behavior indicates that you're dealing with a superficial person who lacks emotional maturity and is deeply insecure about himself. Ask yourself, do you really want to be with someone who chooses to cut down your self-esteem instead of building you up? There is no happy ending here. Over time, you will feel more and more resentment towards him, and this will inevitably lead to a breakup. So this one is an absolute deal breaker. Number 2, he love bombs you early on. I wouldn't call this one a deal breaker, but it's definitely something to be wary of. The most common ways of love bombing include over-the-top compliments, declarations of love too soon, excessive texting, calling, and demanding constant attention. Rushing the relationship, for example, talking about marriage, kids within weeks, is also a red flag. These behaviors are often manipulation tactics meant to overwhelm you with affection to create dependency before things take a darker turn. Men with narcissistic tendencies often use love bombing to idealize their partner initially. However, this phase is usually followed by devaluation and withdrawal, leaving the woman confused and emotionally drained. The cycle can make the victim more attached as she seeks to regain the perfect version of the relationship. A man who is insecure may love bomb because he fears losing someone if he doesn't create an intense bond right away. He may not trust that a normal, steady connection will be enough to keep a woman interested. Some men aren't necessarily manipulative, but get caught up in the excitement of a new romance. They genuinely believe they're in love and act accordingly, only to lose interest once the honeymoon phase fades. This results in an unintentional emotional roller coaster for their partner. Movies, books, and social media can make people believe that intense whirlwind romances are the ultimate form of love. This is what I call fireworks versus fireplace. You want a fireplace type of relationship where love develops steadily and respects boundaries. Number 3, he's stingy with his money. This one can be really bad, though sometimes it can be explained by cultural differences or a difficult financial situation. However, in my dating life, I always looked for a masculine partner, and that means an energy of being a provider. To me, it was very important that a guy paid for the first drink. That's just how I approached a first date. I usually stick to drinks, whether it's coffee or a beer, so you could say I'm a pretty low-maintenance date. I also always insisted on paying for the second round because I believe in reciprocity. I personally wouldn't want to go for a 3-course dinner on the first date because if it doesn't go well, I don't want the guy feeling like I'm taking advantage of him. However, If a guy can't even splurge $4 for a drink, that's a huge red flag. It shows he's not putting in any effort, financially or otherwise, and he's not invested in impressing you or making you feel special. It's also a sign that he's unwilling to make even a small financial investment in the relationship. If he's not willing to do that for you, he likely doesn't see a long-term future with you. Number 4, he's stingy with his time. This can sometimes be explained if he's genuinely busy, has a demanding job, etc. However, if that's not the case, and he still can't seem to plan a date with you, or there is no consistency in dating because something always seemingly comes up, then just forget about him. This is a sign that he's just not that into you. Because if he's caught feelings for you, he'll want to be with you almost all the time, even if that meant canceling plans with others or being late for work the next day. My husband took me on 6 dates in the first week after we met. We really hit it off and wanted to be with each other all the time. Number 5, inconsistent communication early on. If he doesn't call or text you for a full day, it means he's not serious about you. This might sound extreme, but it really isn't. In today's world, everyone is always connected. He could literally send you a message while he's sitting on a toilet. If there are days with no communication, it's likely that he's stringing you along or keeping you on rotation. This is a clear sign to move on. You want your man to be excited about you, to stay in touch every day, and make an effort to communicate. Number 6, he's very active on social media but never posts about you. This is a major red flag. We're talking Soviet Union level red flag. If he's posting tons of pictures with his friends or random people but never with you, despite having an established relationship, doing many things together, maybe even traveling together, it means he probably wants to appear single. He might be keeping his options open. It's also likely that he's hiding something, not wanting to risk upsetting other potential love interests. Of course, many people genuinely choose not to post their relationships online for privacy reasons. But I'm talking about a situation where he posts everything except you. That sounds intentional, not just a general boundary. Number 7, bringing up sex early in conversation. This should be an obvious one, but it's worth repeating. If the conversation turns sexual too early, or if you receive unsolicited explicit photos, it's a full stop sign. Do not continue communicating with this person if you're looking for something more than just a casual fling. That's a huge non-negotiable no. No wiggle room here. Number 8, forcing physical contact early on. If someone is pushing for intimacy or sex within the first few dates, that's a red flag. I've had experiences where men came on too strong, and when I refused, they ghosted me. One time, I went home with someone too early, ended up having sex, even though I didn't really want to, and guess what? He ghosted me too. Don't let anyone pressure you into physical contact before you're ready. Number 9, unresolved past relationships. If he's constantly talking about his ex, especially in negative terms, or if he's unable to let go of the past, he might not be emotionally available for a new relationship. However, in my personal experience, it's more worrisome if he's still in touch with his ex, hanging out, texting endlessly, basically acting like they're friends. Unless they share children or work together, there is really no good reason to be friends with an ex. It's something you should definitely stay away from. Number 10, disrespect towards your family and or friends. Pay attention to how he treats waitstaff, strangers, or anyone in a service position, but also how he treats the people in your life. If he's constantly bad-mouthing or criticizing your friends, or always making excuses to avoid spending time with your family, then he's clearly not putting in enough effort. Your friends and family were there long before he showed up, and they'll probably be the ones helping you pick up the pieces after he's gone, because there is no future with this man. Number 11, disrespect towards you. If he belittles you or dismisses your opinions, it's a huge red flag. I had an experience with Mr. Geek. He and I had different political views, and I was very religious at the time, while he wasn't. He would talk to me dismissively, constantly saying I was stupid or didn't know anything. It felt like he thought he was better than me. Healthy relationships are based on mutual respect, and this wasn't it. Number 12, controlling behavior early on. This one is as bad as it gets. We're talking again Soviet-level red flag territory. Early controlling behavior is a sign that the relationship may not be based on love and respect, but rather on dominance and insecurity. This is what happened to me. I once met a guy, a handsome cardiologist. After just one date, he started calling me constantly for no good reason. Had nothing important to say. One time when I picked up, he ended up telling me stories about rooks. Yes, the birds. Now at that time, I had a full-time job and was also studying for a very challenging professional exam. So I made it clear to him that I didn't have time for endless chit-chat, and I certainly couldn't meet him again in the next few days. He completely ignored my boundaries. He kept calling incessantly, and if I didn't pick up, he would accuse me of hiding something from him. He even went as far as to accuse me of living with another man, or perhaps even having children, just because I didn't want to talk on the phone. It became clear that he was becoming overly possessive and way too intense this early on. I decided to give him one more chance, hoping things might improve. We went on a Valentine's Day date where he took me to a nice restaurant and gave me flowers. To be honest, I enjoyed myself. It was nice to be pampered like that, as I wasn't used to it. But after that evening, he completely stopped talking to me. To this day, I have no idea what went wrong with him. What I do know is that I allowed some truly troubling behavior to go unchallenged, and as a result, I got hurt. In hindsight, you could also say he love-bombed me. Number 13, non-compatible values. This might sound like something you would realize later in the game, however, it's actually in your best interest to ask intentional questions and figure this out as early as possible. Because if you're dating someone with non-compatible values, it can be a major challenge to sustain a long-term, healthy relationship. Values form the foundation of how you see the world, make decisions, and navigate life. If these values are deeply different, it can lead to constant friction, miscommunication, and unmet needs. For example, if one person values traveling and spending all their money on experiences, while the other values owning a house, having children, spending time with family, it's a recipe for a disaster. Or if there's a significant difference in political, religious, or moral values, these can create feelings of disconnect. While people can sometimes compromise, core values are harder to change. In many cases, relationships with mismatched values don't last because the partners find it difficult to reconcile their differences over time. However, if both individuals are committed to understanding and respecting each other's values and can find common ground, it's possible to make it work. Still, it requires a lot of patience, effort, and compromise from both sides. So, there you have it, my top red flags to watch out for when dating. It's important to remember that relationships should make you feel supported, respected, and valued. If you notice any of these red flags early on, don't ignore them. Trust your instincts and never settle for someone who doesn't treat you right. At the end of the day, you deserve someone who wants to build something real with you, not just a temporary distraction. So don't be afraid to walk away when you spot these signs. There's always someone out there who will appreciate you for who you are, flaws and all. If you've ever experienced any of these red flags, or if you've learned something new today, drop a comment below and share your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content on navigating the dating world. Stay true to yourself and keep your standards high. See you next time.